Welcome to podcast episode 3. In this episode of my podcast series about the Sandy Hook school shooting, I will be discussing Everytown for gun safety, NRA involvement, and this tragedy and other efforts to reform gun control. First, I will be covering Everytown for gun safety. So what is this organization? Everytown for Gun Safety is a non-profit organization that promotes gun control and is anti-gun violence. It was formed in 2013 after the Sandy Hook shooting. This organization, in their own words, claims to support efforts to educate policymakers as well as the press and public about the consequences of gun violence and promote efforts to require universal background checks on firearms purchases. It was founded with the goal in mind to be just as powerful as the National Rifle Association of America, also known as the NRA. Some of the policies of Everytown aims to achieve are as following: expanding the background check system and passing legislation to do so, requiring the reporting of mental health records to the system, fully banning assault weapons, prohibiting domestic abusers from obtaining firearms, supports gun safety technology and laws requiring safe storage of firearms to prevent accidental injuries and child gun deaths, strengthening penalties for gun trafficking, repealing the Tirehart Amendment, which is a law that restricts how data from gun trace records can be used and shared. It prevents the public from getting detailed information about where guns and crimes were originally sold. People who support this law believe that it protects gun owners' privacies, whereas organizations such as Everytown argue that it makes researching gun violence and illegal gun trafficking more difficult. They advocate against constitutional carry, which is commonly known as permitless carrying. Permitless carrying allows for the public to conceal or open carry without a license or permit. Everytown supports the ban of high-capacity magazines. They also support banning the distribution of blueprints for 3D printed firearms, and they also support banning bump stocks. Everytown is also supported by the families of gun violence victims such as Chris McDonald, who is the father of Grace McDonald, a student killed during the Sandy Hook school shooting. Another supporter is Gilles Rousseau, who is the father of Lauren Rousseau, a teacher killed in the Sandy Hook shooting, along with many other families of gun violence victims. Next, I will be talking about the NRA, which is the National Rifle Association, a pro-gun organization. The NRA has historically opposed organizations like Everytown and related ones. The NRA believes that these organizations are anti-gun. In an article published by the NRA Institute for Legislative Action criticizing Everytown, they stated, "Gun control advocates don't want you to be safe and responsible with guns. They just don't want you to have them at all." The NRA also believes that Everytown despises gun owners and the right to self-defense in the Second Amendment. They also believe that Everytown demonizes the firearm industry and want to drive manufacturers out of business by blaming them for the actions of violent criminals. Overall, the NRA completely opposes Everytown for all of the reasons stated. Gun control is a very hot-button issue in America, and after horrific shootings like Sandy Hook, they become even more controversial, with many Americans not knowing where they stand or what organizations to side with. Next, I will discuss some gun legislations that have failed, in part due to the NRA stances and Republicans which support the NRA. After Sandy Hook in 2012, Obama and Democrats attempted to tighten regulations on assault weapons, limit magazine capacity, and tighten background checks. All bills failed in the Senate in April 2013. In 2014, Senate Republicans defeated a bill that would have had funded states' efforts to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. That same year, 2014, the Republican-controlled House stopped a proposal that would have required serial numbers on homemade guns such as those made with 3D printers. In 2015, the Republican-led Senate defeated a bill that would have banned people on a federal terrorism watch list from buying firearms. In 2015 and 2021, Democrats proposed making gun trafficking a federal crime and increased penalties for those who buy guns for felons and others prohibited from owning them. Other legislation that failed include expanding background checks, record reporting improvement, and who can shoot the gun requirement and bump stock bans. In the next episode, I will be discussing the effect of this school shooting in popular culture, such as movies and songs, and people who were inspired by this shooting, and also society, and how it has continued effects up until this day. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode, and I hope you learned something new.